up on your feet. What you need to do is catch up with her. Bounce, man, get up on your feet and help me get it.
Notorious female serial killer Aileen Wuornos took the lives of her victims as violent revenge for the horrific sexual abuse she suffered as a child, a new documentary claims. Police believe she was also responsible for the deaths of 2 further male victims. The murderer, dubbed the Damsel of Death, initially claimed she had acted in self-defense, but later admitted she did it simply because she hated men and wanted to steal their money. Now criminal experts have re-examined audio recordings of Wuornos to offer fresh insight into the motives for her crimes. Speaking on CBS documentary Voice of a Serial Killer, they explain how they believe Wuornos was projecting onto her victims the sense of anger she had harbored since she was abused by her grandfather as a young girl. Wuornos was born to an unstable mother and a child molester father who spent much of his life in prison before being sent to live with her grandparents, where she was sexually abused and pimped out by her grandfather. Commenting on how her disturbing early experiences shaped the rest of her life, forensic psychologist Mike Berry explained, "I think without a doubt she projected onto these men her sense of betrayal, her anger at being abused. They were the men in their 50s and 60s, they were the age group who abused her earlier in her life." Whether they actually abused her or not is debatable, but we're looking at her perception. Her perception was that these are abusers. I need to protect myself and at the same time get revenge on society for what society's allowed to happen to her as a child. Wuornos became one of America's first known female serial killers when she was convicted of the murders of 6 men: Richard Mallory, David Spears, Charles Carskaddon, Peter Siems, Troy Burress, Charles Humphreys and Walter Gino Antonio across Florida between December 1989 and November 1990. Each of the men were shot multiple times and their bodies dumped. Police believe she might have been responsible for the deaths of 2 more men. At the time, Wuornos was working as a prostitute to support herself and girlfriend Tyria Moore. Wuornos, dubbed the Damsel of Death by tabloids, first claimed she had killed all of her victims in self-defense after they assaulted her, but later admitted she lied. Her only motive was robbery and a loathing of men, she said.She was put to death by lethal injection in October 2002 after volunteering for execution and waiving all appeals. Her story was told in 2003 film Monster, for which Charlize Theron won the Academy Award for her portrayal of Wuornos. The new documentary explains how Wuornos was abused by her father from early childhood. She and her siblings were abandoned by her mother when she was just 4 years old and sent to live with their grandparents. Her father took his own life in prison. Wuornos' grandfather was also sexually abusive and even rented her out to his friends. Aged just 10 or 11, Wuornos started to prostitute herself to local boys for money to buy cigarettes, which led to her becoming pregnant and giving her child up into care. Speaking on the documentary, criminologist Wensley Clarkson claims these horrific early experiences led to Wuornos having a warped sense of morality. Clarkson explains in the show, "It's horrific stuff and very disturbing for a child, and without doubt it warped her mentality. It made her lose track of any moral compass whatsoever, and possibly with reality, because her life was horrendous." After her grandfather kicked her out of home as a teenager, Wuornos moved to Florida, where she met Tyria Moore and went on to kill. Voice of a Serial Killer continues on Wednesday on CBS. December 1989, body of the electronics store owner convicted rapist Richard Mallory, 51, found on December 13, several days after his abandoned car was found by a Volusia County deputy sheriff. He had been shot several times. May 1990, naked body of construction worker David Spears, 43, is found along Florida State Road 19 in Citrus County. He had been shot 6 times. June 1990, part-time rodeo worker Charles Carskaddon, 40, is found dead in Pasco County on June 6. He had been shot 9 times. July 1990, on July 4, Peter Siems' car is found in Orange Springs, Florida. Moore and Wuornos were seen abandoning the car, and Wuornos' palm print was found on the interior door handle. Moore was never convicted of the murder, but later admitted she was responsible. Siems' body was never found. August 1990, body of Troy Burress found in a wooded area along State Road 19 in Marion County. He had been shot twice. September 1990, body of former Chief of Police Charles Dick Humphreys, 56, is found on September 12 in Marion County. He was fully clothed and had been shot 6 times in the head and torso. Last year, Wuornos was arrested at biker bar Last Resort, pictured, in January 1991. November 1990, trucker and police reservist Walter Gino Antonio, 62, was found dead on November 1990. His nearly nude body was found near a remote logging road in Dixie County. He had been shot 4 times. January 1991, on January 9, Wuornos was arrested on an outstanding warrant at biker bar The Last Resort. January 10, police located Moore the next day in Scranton, Pennsylvania. She agreed to elicit a confession from Wuornos in exchange for immunity from prosecution. January 16, Wuornos confessed to the murders, but initially claims they were carried out in self-defense. January 1992, Wuornos was convicted of Mallory's murder with help from Moore's testimony. March 1992, Wuornos pleads no contest to the murders of Humphreys, Burress, and Spears. She confesses that, while Mallory had raped her, the others had not, as she had initially claimed. May 1992, Wuornos is given 3 more death sentences. June 1992, Wuornos pleads guilty to the murder of Carskaddon. November 1992, she receives her 5th death sentence. October 2002, Wuornos is executed by lethal injection in prison.